Benvenuti, bentornati. It's time to talk about Serie A, and we can only start in one place. In Naples, Napoli 2, Genoa 2. It looked like Raspadori had sealed the points for the Partenope, but Genoa had other ideas, and my centre-back, Vasquez in Fantacalcio, popped up to get the equaliser. Andrea, we've said a few times that Napoli have been running it close, have been winning by the odd goal. Just when they needed to get it done, there was a lapse in concentration, and they really couldn't deal with crosses into the box in this game.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much summed them up the whole season, to be honest, because they've done this too many times where they've rid it out too long. I thought, again, the substitutions were quite negative. I thought Raspadori coming off with 10 minutes to go, he's someone that can get you that crucial goal to secure the game. Just typical Conte, like he's always had this structure where he's been quite negative in later stages of games, which does lead to chances. And in the end, I think Genoa deserved it, really. I feel like they did create enough. They did. I think, in fact, I'd even go on to say Genoa probably deserved to win the game. I think they really put it to Napoli. And again, it's pressure that you thought Conte would have been able to dealt with, but it seems to be it's kind of getting to them. Despite it only being a draw, it's still in their hands, which is the main thing for their sake. But again, it's winnable. It's a winnable game, and it could cost them the title. Just this one game, we don't know, and it's quite bizarre how he let Genoa kind of get into this game and eventually get the draw in the end. So yeah, a lot of question marks, I think. But again, it's something that's we've always highlighted the last many pods that he's done this, and it's happened again, and it will happen. The one I remember the most was the Roma one when I think Angelino scored that last minute goal screamer. Again, it's happened, and it could happen again at a crucial time as well.
Yeah, I remember the moment when they went 2-1 up. They just showed a shot of Conte just screaming "Testa" to his entire team. I'm like, yeah, you're not giving off the vibe of like calm down, everyone. I know the message you're trying to portray, but you're really not sending it in that way. And it seemed like the pressure was getting to them. Obviously, of course, after watching Inter win as well, they knew exactly what they had to do. But Adam, it was a bit like, was a big moment in this match, Lobotka going off in the 13th minute. Like, that's a big thing for Napoli to deal with. They obviously bring on Gilmour, right? It's not quite the player that Lobotka is for that side. Do you think that did make a difference for them, like, across the 90 minutes? Not to blame it all on Billy Gilmour, right? Clearly not his fault.
No, but yeah, I would say, look, Stanislav Lobotka going into this was always a concern because he picks up the injury on the previous week against Lecce, and Conte alluded to the fact even then that he wasn't too sure what he'd be like for the forthcoming game. So did he rush him back for this game? Did he necessarily need him for this game? I know this has always been an argument about the quality of his depth within the Napoli squad, and I think that's played a part in terms of how Conte's managed this team, and I think it's going to bite him now at this stage of the season, because actually, if that's aggravated it even worse for Lobotka, then that's a crucial player that you don't really want to be missing for the next 2 game weeks. I think that's probably naive on Conte's part, because actually, without him, they could have just about coped. So I can understand why there's reservations about the quality of Gilmour versus Lobotka, but you could have definitely have made the midfield more adaptable so that you can kind of compensate for Lobotka not being part of the system. But inevitably, Conte overcomplicates things sometimes. And like a good example is what Andrea alluded to, bringing off Raspadori. Why did he need to take off Raspadori? It's not like Raspadori's played a lot of games this season. It's not like he couldn't have lasted the full 90. And given the quality that he could have brought on in his place, I just don't get it. Raspadori's always a threat as well at this moment in time. He seems to be on a good vein of form. So again, against a side like Genoa, after opening up, trying to chase an equaliser or a winner at that stage, it allows you to exploit that space. That's something that Raspadori actually thrives on, running into the box and then making the most of it. So I think very naive on Conte's part. But yeah, ultimately, I also allude to the fact that Meret, that goal that he let in, that was one of the catalysts for a Genoa perspective that gave them hope in this game, because actually he should have dealt with that far better. But yeah, it feels like it's squeaky bum time once again. And does that mean the initiative is handed back to Inter? I don't know.
Well, it's the lifeline they needed. It really is. Like, obviously, they've got a huge boost from getting into the Champions League final with 2 incredible performances, and then straight back in. And the first game, you've got that lifeline of like, it's not over yet, guys. Like, we can still get this double. I think it's such a huge boost for Inter, and we'll be talking about them as well. But I think Meret is an interesting point because for a few years now, I've thought that's a position that can so easily be upgraded on. Like, Meret is a fine goalkeeper. I think he's okay, but I've never seen him really outstanding. Maybe it's revisionism now, but I've always felt like that's a position where Napoli could improve quite easily and just get that goalkeeper that's going to be your starter for the next 5, 6, however many years, and just raise that level. We all talk about how many good goalkeepers there are in Serie A.
Yeah.
Any of them would join Napoli at this rate, I think. Like, you go out and you get Milinkovic-Savic from Torino, or you get and this instantly raises the level, I think. So it's a position where I think for a while they could have improved. Obviously, it happens to all goalkeepers, but I think you're right, Adam. He should have dealt better with that one. But of course, despite Napoli dropping the points, there's one man who everybody was still talking about with the man of the match performance. Andrea, Scott McTominay, 2 assists. I was talking to my uncle, and he was like, is he going to get Serie A Player of the Year? I was like, if Napoli win it, there's no other person to get it. Like, again, 2 great assists for him. I loved the first one, the weight of the pass and the placement for Lukaku, and then the ability that he shows to get past a few players to put the ball in for Raspadori for the second. 2 very different assists, but again, just an outstanding performance from him.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, the way he's going right now, I feel like he's up there with Maradona at this rate. Like, he's gonna be Maradona. Maradona's gonna have to watch out for his place in history at Napoli. But he's been terrific again, and that instinct in that final third to get on the end of chances is been an elite level for McTominay. And again, he's been so crucial to the way they play and the way they grab these goals, and the good performances have come through him. Contributing to such a high level. So yeah, he did a great performance again, but I felt like, again, the substitutions and stuff kind of then impacted. So then it kind of ruined the kind of cohesion of the team. So I think overall he had a good performance, but he doesn't get helped at times with what's around him. And he did kind of fade out near the end of the game. But again, it goes back to the tactical suggestions of Conte. But overall, yeah, he's been immense. And again, I think he has to win the Player of the Year for me. I think he's done everything to make that much of an impact in a new league like that. It's like he's played there all his life. That's how good he's been. So credit to him.
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff from him. We should say Napoli did have a few chances where they should have won the game. I think Anguissa had a chance where he should have scored. Billing towards the end was really unlucky with that header. I think he still can't believe how that didn't go in. I think he directed it, made the contact, everything just didn't quite go in for him. That would have been another moment for him. He's had a few big moments this season, but it was very, very close. So Napoli did definitely have their opportunities. Forgotten man David Neres came on in the 88th minute to try and make a difference. Feels like you kind of not much you can do at that point. But we should also talk about Genoa, Adam. I'm looking at Vieira since he's come in. He's averaging 1.25 points per game, 1-7, draw 9, lost 8. Is pretty unremarkable, but for Genoa, it's kind of what they need, right? This is a season of them stabilizing. They've got a few big results. They are capable of bloody in the nose of the big boys, and it was a really solid performance from them.
Yeah, that's the one thing you probably can kind of give credit to Vieira is he's solidified that team. I don't think necessarily at the point of the time of the sacking of Gilardino, I didn't think that was necessarily the right decision, but got to give credit for Vieira implementing a different style of football that seems to have just got them points along the way. And yeah, I think they've quietly gone about their business. They've been unremarkable, but they've been able to get victories here and there. And I think a lot of credit given, I suppose, the whole ownership piece as well, with the kind of 777 ownership not being able to fulfill their loans, and it's in receivership essentially. In charge, I don't know quite the ins and outs, but it's a Romanian now in charge of it, who looks like a mafia board. I don't know what his credentials are, but essentially it seems very much up in the air still with Genoa in that respect. But at least he's offered them solidity in that kind of grand scheme of things. He's secured them Serie A status, which is the most important thing, and they can build on this. But just question mark about the future, and that's always the issue with Genoa. But yeah, I mean, that's probably done no harm to Patrick Vieira's credentials, because I think a lot of people will actually maybe take notice and may consider him for their next role if it becomes vacant.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see him have a run at the summer and see how they do next year and see who he brings in. Because I think Vieira is still a name that players are going to want to come and play for him. Like, if a player gets contacted, I want you to play for me, I think he's going to have quite a few people quite happy to go there. Genoa's a lovely city. Serie A is improving in its reputation, I think. So it would be interesting to see how he deals with the summer. Again, like you said, with the finances. Of course, any player that's been anywhere near half decent for them is getting linked with moves away now. So Friendrup is getting linked everywhere. Vasquez is getting linked everywhere. Yeah. But again, another performance, not only the goal, but Vasquez across this season has really impressed me. Friendrup as well, Andre. He's having quietly a very decent season. It feels like he's going to get a move in the summer to one of the bigger boys. Like, it'll be interesting to see how his career goes. Young player, but he's really stood out in this team.
100%, yeah. And I think he's got all the attributes, like he can do any kind of role in midfield, and I think that's crucial in nowadays. He seems to be like a box to box, but also can be deep line, can be that attacking third player as well. So again, he's a very exciting player and can do multiple jobs, which the big teams really need. Especially you look at teams like Inter, who have struggled with, like, you know, not replacing Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan in games. That's a perfect player that you could kind of see come in and really stamp the ground their authority in the team.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see where he goes. And from an Arsenal point of view, just seeing Norton Cuffy as a right winger, he was bought as a defender, but seeing him as a right winger, just letting him go loose on the right, was really impressed by him. I'm excited to see how he develops a little bit more as he continues. Again, that kind of, someone who I think him playing for Patrick Vieira would have been delighted when he came in. I think of like, oh, this has worked out quite well. But I was delighted for him. But a big point for Genoa, but a big dropped opportunity for